Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. So this is going to be my video of Jay-Z's 444. I'm super excited about this album. Fair warning, full disclosure, I am a super Jay-Z stan. Oh look, you guys see my little part? You guys see my little part? I got a part happening today. Before I'm sorry, time. A lot of you guys want to know, what do I do with my hair and stuff, so I am planning on doing a hair video at some point. But you're probably going to be disappointed because I'm not a super hair person, but I am planning on doing that at some point. But anyways, 444. I am a super Jay-Z stan. Anyone that knows me in real life and that has known me for a long time knows this about me. When the Black Album came out, I listened to the Black Album so much that I literally wore grooves in my CD, because this is when we still listen to CDs and had CD players. And I wore grooves in my fucking CD, and I had to buy a new one. I literally listened to this album every single day for 3 years straight. So I'm gonna try. No, I'm lying. I'm not gonna try to be objective. Uh-oh, did we freeze? Did we freeze? Did we freeze? Did we freeze? Are we freezing? Are we freezing? Okay. I'm gonna try to be objective, but I'm not even going to do this review in the good, the bad, and the ugly format because it's all good. So that can let you know from right now where my headspace is at going into this review. I can't do good, the bad, and the ugly. There is no bad and there is no ugly. It's all good. It's a perfect album as far as I'm concerned. So this album is 10 tracks. Today, Friday, is actually the mainstream release of the album with 3 additional bonus tracks. I am going to go buy physical copies of this album. I'm going to buy 4 or 5 copies. I'm telling y'all niggas now. So if you follow me on Instagram, please be prepared shortly to see me with my multiple physical copies, unless I go to the store. Because I'm going to try and go to the store, Target or something. If I go to the store and they're sold out, I would be completely shocked. Well, I wouldn't be that. It's Jay-Z, so I wouldn't be that shocked. But, I'm going to try and go buy my physical copies in the store. And it's coming with 3 additional bonus tracks, so I might do a follow-up video. I'm definitely going to do a follow-up video because I want to talk about the visuals for the Story of OJ song. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'm just going to talk about just the 10 tracks themselves on 444. So when I do my follow-up video where I talk about the visuals for the Story of OJ, I will probably also review the additional 3 bonus tracks in that video. So this video, we're just going to talk about the 10 tracks that make up 444. I believe it is exactly 34 minutes long. I am 100% positive that this review is going to be longer than this album. But that is because Jay-Z is such a fucking genius that this nigga was able to fit so much, just layers and layers and layers and layers of complexity of messages into 10 tracks in 34 minutes. That is going to take me however long this video is going to take me to unpack this shit. So whatever y'all need to do, I know some of y'all like to play it while you cook or put on your makeup or go for a drive or whatever y'all need to do. This is going to be one of those long ass videos, so go ahead and just get ready. So instead of doing the good, the bad, and the ugly format, I am going to do track by track, and with a little bit of extra at the end. So let's go ahead and get started with the very first track, the intro, which is Kill Jay-Z. I feel like this was a great opener. This is kind of one of those classic Jay-Z openers that just really sets the tone for the record. This is clearly Shawn Carter. Shawn Carter was born December 4th. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stand out, so just be prepared. This is clearly Shawn Carter talking to Jay-Z, which is something that Jay has played around with before. On this song, he's basically saying goodbye to the worst parts of himself. This is about growing up as a person. This is about growing up as a father, as a husband, just growing up and maturing. And we're really seeing the separation of Shawn Carter, the person, from Jay-Z, this rap persona, because Jay-Z is an asshole, right? The rap persona of Jay-Z is an asshole. And he's basically talking about how being Jay-Z, how being this asshole, how being this, this closed up person with no emotions is fucking up his life. How that shit will fuck up your fucking life. How that shit will fuck up your marriage. How that shit will possibly fuck up your relationship with your children, which he gets into a little bit more on 444. Just how being this person is impacting him, on a personal level. And what was really interesting to me about this right out the gate was that this is something that niggas do. this is something that niggas do, especially niggas from the hood. They build this persona to protect themselves, and this weirdly made me think of Moonlight. Somebody's texting me. Hold on. It's my mom. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. That was my mom texting me about Queen Sugar, but I put the phone away so I won't get distracted by it. I have my phone set. I don't like my phone to buzz. I don't like it to vibrate and make noise and stuff, so I have it set just so the light flashes. I had it sitting next to me so like the light was flashing. But anyways, what was I saying? She knocked me off my train of thought. I was saying this is what niggas do, right? Especially niggas from the hood. They build this persona to protect themselves. And this weirdly made me think of Moonlight, which is also the title of a song on here. But I mean the movie Moonlight. It made me think of Moonlight and the adult character of Chiron, you know, and this persona, this person that he becomes as a way to protect himself. And I said in my Moonlight review how familiar that was to me, because it felt like people that I knew, it felt like niggas that I've dated, and it's kind of the same thing listening to this Jay-Z album, just how familiar it is and how it really fucks up people's lives. So I think that Kill Jay-Z was a really strong intro, and just from like a listener standpoint, from like a sonic standpoint, from a listener's just perspective, it starts out really aggressively with these like blaring horns. It's like, and it really gets your attention. I loved it. I was like, oh shit, bitch, we back in 2003. Like, let's go. Like, I loved it. I really did. There were also some shots definitely thrown at Kanye West on this song and throughout this whole album. Just about how Kanye is not the same person, which we all know. And again, just this whole idea of losing yourself in these images and these ideas and these fucking personas, be they rap personas or whatever kind of personas, until they become real. Like, until you believe your own fucking hype type shit. And how that can really fuck up your real life and your real relationships with the people around you. And I just thought it was a really great intro and a really great way to set the stage for the rest of the album and where the rest of the album went in terms of tone and in terms of message and lyrical content. So, Kill Jay-Z, perfect intro. The next track is the story of OJ, which again, this song has a visual that I will be doing a separate video on. But the story of OJ is really a standout track on here because of the messages and the lyrical content. The story of OJ, the hook on it, it's basically a reference to the very famous OJ story and the very famous quote, which we all should be fairly familiar with because the People vs. O.J. Simpson was just on, and it like very famously included it when he says, you know, I'm not black, I'm O.J., you know, like it's just basically about money and status and how use a nigga, like how no matter what, use a nigga. Like it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't, like, none of that shit matters. At the end of the day, you still a nigga. Like, and you're gonna get your Negro wake-up call at one point or another, which I have talked about on this channel. He's talking about money. He's talking about the things that niggas do with their money. He's talking about the things that niggas could do with their money. He's talking about economic awareness. He's talking about credit. He's talking about, building credit, buying buildings, flipping the block, not dying over a block that your mom is renting. These are some of the things that he's talking about on the story of OJ, just in terms of, like, the way that people think about money, again, power, status. What does it mean to acquire these things as a black person? And what do you do in turn with these things? And I've seen some people saying that they feel like this is respectability politics and that they feel like this is Jay, like, talking down on niggas for what they do with their money. And while I can see, like, where they're going with that, like, while I can see, like, how you would get to that conclusion, I personally disagree, and the reason why I disagree is because, to me, Jay's wordplay and also his delivery matter. The way you say something, like, that's one of the beauties of rap, and that's one of, like, some of the beauty of, like, Jay-Z and his lines and his lyrics and his wordplay and his lyricism is, the double entendre. I'm saying these words, but what else could these words possibly mean? And a lot of that comes down to delivery and the way that the words are arranged. Also, the point of, at the end of the day, even if you do these things like I did, you're still a nigga regardless. So you still have to have in the back of your mind at all times, you're going to get this Negro wake-up call one day. So, like, what are you doing to prepare for that day when you get that Negro wake-up call? What are you doing for that day when, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to prepare? And I just really felt like on this song, and again, on this whole entire album, we have these concepts that keep coming up and keep coming up, keep coming up. And something that I love is like, it's just like the same old Jay-Z delivery, and not new topics, because Jay-Z has talked about these kind of fucking topics before. I've seen a lot of people trying to say that, oh, Jay-Z was never talking about this type of shit before. He's bandwagoning. He's only talking about this shit right now because this is what's hot. Fuck you. You clearly have not heard a fucking Jay-Z album. You clearly have not listened to anything before fucking 2009 when it comes to Jay-Z, because Jay-Z has always had this perspective of, I'm from the hood. I somehow managed to get out of the hood, and what does that mean? And like trying to like work his way. Now it might not be a whole entire album dedicated to that. This is really the first entire album I would say that was dedicated to this. But even going back to Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z's been thinking about these things and thinking about what do these things mean. And as he's been growing and maturing as a person, it's obvious that he has been thinking more about these things and more about these things and more about these things. And now he's married and he has these children and he has this family and he's thinking even more about these things. Even on Watch the Throne, one of the main themes of Watch the Throne, which I did not like Watch the Throne. I did not like Magna Carta Holy Grail. Kingdom Come was a horrible album. I did not like Kingdom Come. But even on those albums, there was this kind of like bubbling idea under the surface of, we are some rich ass niggas. What does this really mean? What does this mean? And he's really trying to figure out what that shit means. And I feel like in a lot of ways he is talking to us, regular listeners. But in a lot of ways, I also think he's talking a lot to his contemporaries. He's talking a lot to other niggas with money. You have all this money. Get into some other things. Have your hands into all these other type of pots and figure out other ways to grow this money and figure out other things that we can do to continue to build. I don't know. Like, clearly I loved it. Smile is the third track, which is a straight fucking banger. He samples Stevie Wonder, which is how you know Jay-Z has money, that he can afford all these fucking samples. And these are not like little bullshit samples, like Stevie Wonder samples, Nina Simone samples. On Moonlight, he samples the fucking Fugees. Like, these are not cheap samples. Like, they're fucking expensive as fuck. So, I mean, the production on the whole album is like outstanding. It was completely produced by one producer, by No ID, who was a mentor to Kanye West. So again, some more shade. And No ID does a lot of, sampling and creating these like really extremely soulful, like soul samples and soul beats. So it just had this really, this just soulful ass vibe, but it did not feel dated. It was like modernized soul, contemporary soul, like, I don't know. These tracks and all these tracks in this whole album just like had this fucking there's magic. Like, it just had this like magical quality about it. Like, but on Smile, back to Smile. I know I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to stay on topic and not veer away into my brain talking about how I'm gonna be listening to this album for the next 9 years. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. So Smile. So he talks about his mother coming out as a lesbian in this song, which I personally feel is a big deal. This is the type of it's a game changer. It's a cultural moment. It's a cultural moment. Like, this whole album, this track, this subject matter, especially when it comes to talking about like homosexuality and stuff like that, in a song and saying I don't care, like that's a big deal in my opinion. I feel like it's major. On the third verse of Smile, Hov fucking snapped. It was just like old Jay-Z. It was just like old Jay-Z all over again. Like, exactly the way that I felt as a teenager. Like, exactly the way that I felt as a teenager, that third verse on Smile, it made me feel that way again. His lyrics, the words he was using, the double meanings, again, like the things that he was saying, it was just like, oh, like old Jay-Z. And old Jay-Z, again, expanding on old Jay-Z topics, maturing the topics, talking about the topics in a different way, in a broader way, in a more contextual way. You know, the subject matters about, you know, how does he feel about this industry? How does he feel about taking back control from an industry and a system and a country and a world, really, that doesn't want shit for black people, you know? What is he doing personally in his own life as a fucking rich nigga at this point to get that power back? It's very pro-black, the whole album. Like, it's very pro-black. And it reminds me a lot of American Gangster, which was a concept album. But American Gangster also played around a lot with the same, and if you haven't seen the movie American Gangster with Denzel Washington, I don't even know what you're doing with your life. You need to go watch that shit right now. Like, turn this video off and go watch American Gangster right now. But even a lot of the themes of American Gangster, the movie, and also the concept album that Jay-Z made were about a lot of these same topics, you know, things that are real. Vocalizing these thoughts that people are fucking having, that people are really having about these systems, these oppressive systems, you know, as a person that is from the hood that has seen firsthand the way that these systems work. He says on, you know, we know the system don't work. He says on Smile, literally, like, we know the system don't work. They take a young nigga's life over some dirt, but it's legal in Colorado. Like, we from the hood. We know how that shit works. We know what these systems really mean. We know, like, how to operate within them, but how do we overcome them? How do we outsmart them? How do we use them to our own advantage? Like, that to me is really what Smile is about. And I think it's a super, super, super fucking important track. But it's also, I want to say that a lot of the vibe of these songs remind me of A Seat at the Table, which is, we're going to talk about some really serious subject matter. I don't want to say in a light way, but in a way that is listenable. Like, you guys know, I didn't care for Lemonade personally. Lemonade was not listenable to me. It was too much. It was too heavy. It was too sad. It made me sad to listen to it. I've only listened to it once or twice. Like, I didn't buy it. Like, it was not for me. But A Seat at the Table, you know, and it was noted in a lot of the reviews that, you know, Solange is taking this really dense subject matter and making it lighter, making it listenable, making it so you can absorb it and you can understand it. And I feel like Jay-Z is also doing the same thing. You know, it's only 10 tracks, it's only 34 minutes. It's like you're sitting at home in the dark for hours and hours, you know, listening to it. He waxes poetic. He tells you with his quick, sharp, witty lyricism. Like, Jay-Z is a word person. Like, he is a wordsmith. Like, if he was not from, and I personally think that Jay-Z is like a fucking genius for real. Like, if he was not from where he was from, like if he was not from Marcy Projects, like if he was a fucking white person, if he was like a person that had access to all these opportunities, he would probably be like a poet laureate or something like that. Because the way that his mind works, and these words and these combinations and taking you through this very dense subject matter in this really particular way is, nobody's even close. Nobody. I don't want to hear about nobody else. No one's even close. Your fave is not even close. No. Next track, moving on. Caught Their Eyes, which is my favorite song on here. I have listened to this song a bajillion times. And again, for me, I feel like this is like the most club, because clearly this is also a song that doesn't have any lead singles. It doesn't have really any radio-friendly bangers, even though they have been playing it on the radio nonstop. But to me, Caught Their Eyes is probably the most, it's kind of like a summery, breezy, I could see this getting played at a cookout. I could see this getting played at a party. I could see this getting played at a house party, at a club, at a bar, at a lounge. They have Frank Ocean on the hook, which is good. His vocals are kind of like scratchy and gravelly. There's kind of like an unfinished, unmixed vibe to this whole album that I personally really like. I think it was intentional, but we'll see after the wide release with the 3 additional tracks if it's like more mastered. But I personally think that the scratchiness of it contributes to the realness of the subject matter, in my opinion. But I also do not like overly produced shit. So that's just like my personal taste. But again, Catch Their Eyes. Catch Their Eyes is about systems. It's about greed. It's about fucking capitalism. He mentions the Prince estate and how his lawyers went against his fucking wishes and they sold his masters, they sold the rights to his music to white people. How they sold tickets to walk through fucking Prince's house after he died. And Prince was in a very public dispute for years with his label over the rights to his name and his music. He was performing with the word slave literally written on his face, which was referenced in this song, Caught Their Eyes. He was going by the fucking symbol, the man-woman symbol. He was going by the artist formerly known as Prince. He was going by just the artist because he didn't own the rights to his own name, right? That's greed. That's capitalism. That's, I'm gonna suck everything out of you, black artist, black person, black musician, black entertainer. I'm gonna suck the shit out of you. I'm gonna latch onto you, and I'm gonna suck you dry. And Jay-Z is speaking about that, you know, about how as soon as Prince died, the motherfucking greed kicked in. He's talking about, the whole album really is talking a lot about capitalism. But again, it's funny because it's like an anti-capitalism album that is also advocating for you to use capitalism to your advantage if you can. Jay-Z's having some fucking thoughts, some real ass shit. But Caught Their Eyes just, again, has that gritty, soulful, I'm about to talk to you about some really real shit, my nigga. Like, so let's sit down and fucking talk. He mentions going to Paris. People have various interpretations of this line. He says, I've been to Paris at least 2 times. I've seen the Eiffel. I've seen an Eiffel, which, Eiffel. My interpretation of that line about going to Paris is, you know, within the context of a track that is about greed and about capitalism and about money, is about how white people are really living. Now, again, everybody has like their own various interpretations of that line, but to me, that's what it's about. It's about how white people are living. And how once you see the way that white people are really living, right? How they are really living, how that shit is a motherfucking eye-opener. Like, I've been to Paris, and the way that I got to Paris was, when I was a sophomore in high school, my school announced that they were gonna start implementing like senior trips, right? Like senior trips overseas. But everybody had to pay them for themselves. So they let you know like in advance, like years in advance. So I was a sophomore, so they let us know like 2 years in advance. The way that I went on this trip was that I sold candy for 2 years. So those kids that you see in the street and on the bus and on the train with the boxes full of candy, that's like, buy my candy, like that was me for like 2 years until I like saved up the money to go, right? So it's like, here you have somebody that for 2 years was like selling candy on the streets to have the money to go. And then you go to Paris and you see the Eiffel Tower, right? And you go to the Louvre, which is like a really famous art museum, and you like see the fucking Mona Lisa. And you go to fucking Versailles, and you really see with your own eyes that they have entire, literal gold rooms. And it's like, white people they eat off of the world, right? And you see with your own 2 eyes how historically white people, after you just fucking sold candy for 2 years, right? How white people eat off of the world. For what? And how is that fair? And you see that shit with your own eyes, right? Has an impact. That was how I interpreted that line, because that was what it was like for me in my experience. And it's just like, how is this fair? You know? How is this fair? It's like an it's like an anti-capitalism song in a lot of ways. This is like an anti-capitalism album in a lot of ways. But again, at the same time, it's about using the system of capitalism to your advantage if you can, which is just really interesting fucking conceptually. Like, Jay-Z's having thoughts. He's always been having these type of thoughts, but clearly as he gets older and gets more money and sees more things, and his world expands, his thoughts are expanding and crystallizing also, which is just really interesting, and I'm just like really so happy and excited as a fan and as a stan, because I can say that I'm a stan, to see this and to hear this. So the next track after that, fifth track, is 444, which is the lead track, the title track, which is officially the halfway point of the album, and this is a deeply, 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 deeply personal song. It's definitely a reaction to Lemonade, definitely. It's like very gut-wrenchingly sad, like Lemonade. It's almost like a 2017 version of Song Cry. If you don't know Song Cry by Jay-Z, I'm not even going to tell you to pause this video and go watch it. I'm just going to tell you to X out. Just go on about your day. If you've never heard Song Cry, you can just go. But Jay-Z is basically talking about how he fucked up, how he did cheat, he cheated, how he basically treated Beyonce fucking, like shit for no reason, except he's an asshole, and he could. He talks about how Beyonce miscarried from the stress of the way that he was treating her, and how he was doing all these things, again, just because he could. Like, how he wasn't thinking about how this is affecting his partner, Beyonce, how this could affect his family, how this could affect his life, how this could affect his children, his future children, just how will this impact you in the long run? You just like running around doing it just for right now, just because, not even thinking, not even caring, and just how he had to grow up, and in a lot of ways, I feel like if Lemonade was about the emotional life, the interior workings of a Black woman and this emotional labor, and again, like the emotional life of a Black woman, and what does that really mean? This song, and again, this album in a lot of ways, is about the inner workings and the emotional life of a Black man. They're definitely bookend albums. But definitely Lemonade, A Seat at the Table, 444, I could say in a lot of ways that they make a complete body of work about the emotional lives of Black people in this country, especially, in our relationships and operating inside of these systems, and how that shit is fucking impacting us in a lot of ways, fucking ways. There's also some very prominent sampling used on 444, super throwback type of sound again, super soulful, which is really appropriate for the subject matter. You have to have it for this type of track. No ID really hit it, out of the ballpark with this one, and another perfect song. After that is Family Feud, which is my second favorite song on here after Caught Their Eyes. The production on this one is really good too. Like, something about this beat, it just fucking knocks. This is definitely the type of track that sounds different coming out of your speakers than it does coming out of your headphones, even though it knocks in your motherfucking headphones too. But, like, you definitely need to listen to this shit in your fucking car, if you have a car. This, to me, also, Beyonce does the vocals, and she fucking completely killed, murdered, destroyed these vocals. This shit sounds like some old Jay-Z and Beyonce. Maybe like the percussion, something, just something about it. There's allusion, again, to like the beef within his own family, with the cheating and the elevator shit, blah, 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 how he wasn't taking care of his family, how he was just letting his responsibilities fall by the wayside. And again, in that like trademark fucking Jay-Z lyricism, he's talking about two things at the same time. He's forcing you to think. I'm going to say this one sentence, and this one sentence is going to have 8 different meanings, right? So even though this one sentence, it took me 10 seconds to say this one bar, but it's going to take you 20 minutes to dissect this bar because the way that I said it, the words that I used, you know, the way that it was delivered, it could mean so many different things. And I think in a lot of ways, he's talking about his personal family, and on another level, he's talking about the family of black people. And on another level, he's talking about the family of hip-hop. And on another level, he's talking about the family of, like, rich niggas specifically. Like, nobody wins when the family feuds. This song gets me hype as shit. I'm getting hype, obviously, just fucking thinking about it. I love it. I had listened to it 5 million times in a row. When I'm done with this video, I'm probably going to listen to it again. So, next song is Bam! Bam! Which features a really prominent reggae sample. I can't think of the name of the song right now, but we all know that song. And it also has Damian Marley on it, and I believe it was also produced by Damian Marley. To me, Bam is just like some old school New York shit. To me, some more old school fucking Hove shit. Like, he switches perspectives again. So now we're not listening to Sean Carter anymore, like, who we've been listening to. Like, we're listening to Hove. This song, Bam, is kind of like, wow. So I really have to remind you niggas that I have more talent than all of you. That I am a genius. That I am a fucking beast with these motherfucking words. That you're not from where I'm from. You didn't come up how I came up. You don't even get to fucking address me. Damian Marley is on this one. Like I already said, I know some people were saying again, like, bandwagon, Jay-Z, this is too on trend, it's too trendy with the whole, like, West Indian thing, because, like, the West Indian thing and, like, the reggae thing is happening right now, and Afrobeats, and, like, even though Afrobeats and, like, reggae and soca shit is not the same, but I'm just saying, like, in the same, it's, like, all talked about right now in the same type of conversation. But I personally feel, again, I guess I could see why a person would say that, but I feel like reggae and soca and shit never fell off in New York because there's so many West Indians in New York. Like, there's so many Caribbeans there that, to me, this just sounds like some NYC shit. Like, it just sounds like some old NYC shit. I don't know. And also, Jay-Z got a real fucking Marley to be on the track. He didn't get on the track himself with a fake-ass accent. He didn't record the track with a real West Indian and then remove Damian from the track. He just made some real shit. So props to Jay. Next is Moonlight, which has the Fugees sample, which is shot, 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 shots, 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 shots fired at everybody. And he started off with this trap flow, but he was just kidding around, like on some, just like a predator. Like, I'm dangling the little mouse. You know, in Lion King, when Scar is like fucking with the mouse, and the mouse is trying to like run over the paws, and he's just like fucking, and then he like, that is Jay-Z on this song. And the lyrics are so good. The lyrics are so good on Moonlight. Just, again, talking about some more real shit. Stuck in La La Land, even when we win, we gonna lose, which is a reference, again, to Moonlight, the movie, winning Best Picture, but they fucking gave it to La La Land anyway, and then they had to give it back, and that whole fucking Oscars ass debacle, like, so on the one level, I'm talking about the literal movie Moonlight and the Oscars, you know, stuck in La La Land, even when we win, we gonna lose. But on another level, I'm talking about the rap game. With one sentence, I'm talking to you on multiple levels. He's talking about people still signing 360 deals, even though it's been like 15 to 20 years of really knowing that 360 deals ain't shit, of really knowing that these labels ain't shit, allowing people to make all this money off you, signed to another nigga, that signed to another nigga, that signed to another nigga, that signed to another nigga, that's Pusha T. Now, if you don't know Pusha T in the clips, you already know what to do. Go ahead, X out, exit on out. Like, this is true. Everything Jay-Z is saying on this album is fucking true. There's not one lie told on any of these 10 tracks. Not a lie. You can listen to this whole album and search for a lie, and you will not fucking find one. Everything he says on this album is true. The production on Moonlight is also perfect. I think I would say Moonlight is, so I said, now I can think. So Caught Their Eyes is my favorite. Family Feud is my second favorite. I think I would say that Moonlight is my third favorite. My third favorite on here. After Moonlight is Marcy Me, which is some more New York shit. Marcy Me is just another like soulful ass, you know, it's a song about the old New York, and it's really a love song to Brooklyn, to how Brooklyn used to be, to how New York used to be. More old Jay-Z flows. And every time I listen to that song, it makes me miss New York. I never lived in Brooklyn. I lived in Harlem, and then I lived in Washington Heights, which is in Manhattan on the west side. Well, I lived on the west side. Harlem is also on the east side, but I lived on the west side. And so I never lived in Brooklyn, but my best friend lived in Brooklyn. She was born and raised in Brooklyn. And, well, I mean, I stayed with her for a while, but that's like another story. But I remember, like, she used to live, so she was born and raised in Coney Island, but I remember, like, she lived on Willoughby, right, which is right off Myrtle. Like, I remember I had another friend that I used to babysit her son, and she lived so deep in Flatbush that you could not take the train there. You had to get off the train and take a bus down Nostrand. And it's like listening to Marcy Me, and he's like, you know, like talking about these streets and talking about these places, and it's like, again, like, I know these streets. I know what you're talking about. He's not lying. He's not lying about anything. I will say that one thing I did not like, maybe didn't like is not the right terminology, but one thing I will say about Marcy Me that I was kind of disappointed was he's talking about, you know, old New York and old Brooklyn. And he's talking about the gentrification of New York and the gentrification of Brooklyn. You know, it's mentioned. But he does not address his personal role in the gentrification of New York and the gentrification of Brooklyn with the Nets Stadium. And, like, I was living in New York when they built that stadium, and I was working in Brooklyn. I was working in Park Slope, literally directly across the street from where they built that stadium. Like, I could tell you exactly what's over there. Like, it's a chess shop over there, and it's, like, a dress shop. It used to be, like, a hot dog place, and it used to be a really good shop where I would buy my incense, and then they closed my incense man shop down because, you know, he built, you know, oh, we're gonna bring the Nets to Brooklyn, and you know, he was the architect of this whole project, and it got built, and it changed everything. You know, the stadium really changed everything and played a part in the gentrification of Brooklyn, and I would love to know if he regrets building that. I really would love to know if he regrets building that, if that had consequences beyond what he kind of foresaw. And I think it's a bit of a cop-out to not mention it, especially because he does not mention the Brooklyn Nets not once on this entire album. After, like, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, I think I would just like to know how he feels about it. So maybe it's mentioned on these 3 bonus tracks. Maybe not. I will say that that's, like, one gripe that I would say that I have that I wish was mentioned because it matters, and it did play a part. So the last song is Legacy, which is, again, another super soulful sample, and is just about what does Black excellence mean to Jay-Z in terms of leaving behind a legacy for your families and your communities, and not just a monetary legacy, but also an emotional legacy. We talk a lot about how Jay-Z has these thoughts and how Jay-Z's been having these thoughts for the entirety of his 20-year career, but how he has, like, leveled up. He has leveled up on these thoughts. He's leveled up on his own fucking thoughts, like, icon. And I do want to say that I saw a really good meme that said, like, what's better than one billionaire wealth distribution? Because not on Legacy, but on Family Feud, they have that line, like, what's better than one billionaire too? And I think that meme is valid, especially in comparison to what he's saying on Legacy. And in terms of, you know, what's better than one billionaire wealth distribution. Like, let's go with that. You guys know that I have been really, really hard on Jay-Z and Beyonce. I was very critical. Like, those of you who have been watching my videos for a while, like, I'm sure you remember, I was very critical of them buying Tidal. I even said in my Tidal video, like, I understand the point. And even more now. I would say that even more now. I understand the point of Tidal. Like, I understand what Jay-Z's trying to do. I understand, like, what he's trying to do with the music industry and encouraging artists, you know, to own their own shit and, like, not get into these deals. Like, I totally, like, I get it. But I hope that as they expand their businesses and as they expand their business acumen, Jay-Z and Beyonce as a collective and also separately, I do hope that they look more into wealth distribution. And not in the sense of just like giving their money away, because they do donate money. They're into a lot of philanthropic causes and charities and stuff like that. But just in the sense of, you know, what he's talking about on legacy, which is we have so much. How can we put others on and not just hoard wealth for our immediate family? Because I think that that is important. I think that is important. But I also do think that it appears to be something that they are thinking about and working on. Beyonce just launched this formation scholarship thing. Like, it seems, you know, like, oh, we have all this money. Why not put some people through school? It doesn't matter. It's nothing to us, you know? And in the same vein, I feel, you know, like, why not, like, spread it around, you know? Spread it around a little bit. And it seems like that's also what they're both thinking, and that's what they're heading. And again, especially on this album, Jay-Z is just, like, really thinking and pondering some real fucking shit. And I just love it. I really love it. And Legacy was, like, a very strong closer. I'm not glitching, am I? No. Okay. I would say that this is a perfect album. This, to me, for me, and probably Jay-Z's 5th classic. Because you have Reasonable Doubt, you have The Blueprint, you have the Black Album, you have American Gangster, and now this. Like, I'm a proud stan. I'm a proud stan today, y'all. This is the album of the year so far. This is the best album with the most replay value that I have heard since A Seat at the Table, which came out in September 2016, and we are now in July 2017. Album of the year. Album of the year. And I don't think anything will top this album, especially if I buy this physical copy and I hear these 3 additional tracks, because I have not heard any of the bonus tracks like Adness and stuff like that, because I don't like to listen to snippets and shit like that of the artists that I really like. I like to just sit and listen to the whole thing in its entirety, from beginning to end. Even before doing this review video, I have not read any other reviews. I have not watched any reviews on YouTube. Like, I have not, like, I just wanted to, like, sit with this album myself for the last week that it's been out. So, especially if I like these 3 bonus tracks as much as I like these 10, but it really doesn't even matter. Like, I don't think nothing's going to touch it. Like, it's Jay-Z, like, it's Hov. Nobody's going to touch it. Nobody. So, that is my review of 444. Excellent. Just excellent album. Working on so many levels and talking about so many really important things, and really an important moment in time. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Super long. Told you guys from the jump it was going to be really, really long. That is how much shit was in this album. I'm going to go. I'm going to do a follow-up video at some point on, probably next week, on the story of OJ, the visual for that, and also these 3 bonus tracks. So be on the lookout for that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time.